The thing is, I wasn't always this religious. I kind of had a troubled past. I used to be very different when I was younger, and that is all behind me now. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, I decided to open up about the full truth to my fiancé, and he broke up with me and canceled our wedding. Please, I'm so angry and sad, I don't know what to do now. And guys, this is written by a woman. She is 28 years old, and the guy, her fiancé or ex-fiancé, is 28 as well, or 29, excuse me. And this is all about how pretty much she decided it was probably a good idea before they got married to let him know about her past. Or in my opinion, probably just enough about her past to say that she wasn't totally lying. And he didn't take it very well, and he canceled the wedding and called off the engagement. And you're going to see here in this story, guys, that her guy is a very religious dude. And she has recently become religious in the last few years. They met together at church. That's what it sounded like. And they were both going together quite religiously, no pun intended. But recently have eased up on things. But you're going to see she has a past. And what's interesting is she's 28, but she met this dude, she says, 2 years ago at 26 years old. That's around the time period that a lot of gals who may have been wild and crazy in their teenage years, high school, college, that's when they start looking for a man. And it's always entertaining to me that these gals, or anybody for that matter, has a past, but they decide, you know what, that's now in the past, so we can all forget about that, and I'm essentially going to become born again, or born again virgin, or whatever it is, and just wipe it under the mat, and that's the end of it, and expect everybody else not to have a problem with it. Well, you're going to see here, this dude doesn't exactly go for her past. And she's now obviously upset and actually pissed off, which you'll see in the story, that he reacted the way he did, which is quite understandable. Because guess what? Guys that are religious, guys that are conservative, they actually want that in a wife. They don't want a gal who is hooked up with every dude in town, especially one who claimed to be or let him think that she was a virgin. Because in this story, you're going to see that she pretty much let him believe that she was a virgin. So, I'm going to get into this, guys. You're going to see a little more what I'm talking about. Starts off saying, my fiancé and I have been together for over 2 years, and we just recently got engaged. He and I are Catholic, but not very religious. We go to church irregularly, usually on Christmas, Easter, and every now and again. We met through a common friend and started dating, and we really hit it off. When we started dating, we were both much more religious, and would go to church every week. And we were going to church much more often then. Sounds to me, call me crazy, that she probably found out this guy was a religious guy. She found her nice guy, which is usually how it goes. So to show him that, she's, someone that he could marry, she started going to church a lot of the time when probably she didn't do that when she was younger. I could be wrong, but that's just my interpretation here. Until she got him. Now they have scaled back a little bit. She says, we were in love. I know and believe this. I knew it for a fact when he proposed to me and asked me to be his wife. The thing is, I wasn't always this religious. I kind of had a troubled past. I used to be very different when I was younger, and that is all behind me now. Well, the problem was everybody was seeing her behind. Everybody was seeing her from behind that got her into this kind of trouble. I put aside that part of my past. I'm a changed and different person now, and that past does not define me and has nothing to do with who I am now. I beg to differ, honey. If you hooked up with 500 dudes and you were doing threesome-things every other weekend, guess what? That is, that is who you are. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. And guess what? Any guy who had an issue with that has every right to. As you're going to find. Now, I'm not saying that was her story, but the way she's wording this is that she seems like she's really, barely scratching the surface as to her past, because she's really here, troubled past. A lot of times that's how it's described. It was troubled. It wasn't my choice. I didn't willingly participate in all those many, many, many experiences of all sorts of interesting activities going on, but I was troubled back then. But now I've seen the light. I'm born again, and anybody has a problem with that, well, screw them, because I'm born again. I'm not that person anymore. Sure, I've done too many of these stories to see that usually that person is alive and well deep down. They just got to find that guy, that poor sucker, to marry him, and then that person comes about down the road. I really love him, and I do want to be with him. I know that more than anything. The thing is, he may have been led to believe that I'm a virgin based on my religious ways, and we never really talked about our past S-word partners before. For this reason, he may have thought I was a virgin. If he got that impression, then obviously you're the one that gave that to him. Duh. I mean, think about it. And obviously you weren't bringing up about his past and things like that. So believe me, he was misled. One way or another, he was misled, and she did it, and she knew what she was doing. The truth is, now she's realizing, as you're going to see, that I better speak up. It's probably a good thing to do. And I'll give it to her credit. She does speak up. But guess what? That's not exactly very honorable, given the fact that he's obviously been with her 2 years, in love with her. And that's the idea. I'll wait till he's in love with me until I tell him the truth about myself. And then he won't leave me. Well, we'll see about that. He didn't know about my past before I became religious again, and how I had, in fact, slept with some people. Lady, the way that she's writing this, it's more than just some people. Define some. To some people, it might be 3 or 4 dudes. To other people, it might be 30 dudes. To some other people, it might be 300 dudes. And when she says people, it could have also been chicks. Who knows? I read often online of husbands who get upset when they find out that their wife has lied to them about their S-word history. I decided I didn't want to build our marriage on false beliefs, and thought he'd accept it if I tell him openly that he'd forgive me and still accept me because I know he loves me. I told him about my past. He was very silent and sullen. He didn't get angry, but I told him the truth and told him it's because I wanted him to know the whole truth about my past before he commits to me, because he's a good person and he deserves to know. And I love him too much to hide anything from him. He thanked me for being honest with him, but that was at that time. So, okay, I'll give her credit. At least she's telling him this before they get married. Before, they she walks down the aisle, he puts a ring on her finger, and it's official. I'll give her credit where credit's due. She's doing that. But where I don't give her credit is that it's gone 2 years she's with this dude, and not once has she been honest with him. So she deliberately waited till he would be in love with her, so in love with her, that in her mind, now I could tell him, he may be a little upset, maybe a little bit turned off, whatever, but we'll get through it, he'll still marry me, because she's 28. And again, gals are afraid of turning 30, that being on the path to the altar a lot. So that was the plan here. So yes, that's nice she told him before she got married, but she could have told him a long time ago. Not necessarily on the first date while they're having a drink at Outback or something, or whatever, but maybe within 2 or 3 dates. Here's the thing about my past, you gotta know about me, blah, blah, blah. Giving him the option, not wasting years of his life. But as you're gonna see, he doesn't take it too well, because again, this guy was under the impression that she was a virgin. 3 days later, he broke up with me. It was so sudden. He seemed unhappy, but he said he was having doubts and he didn't think he was in the right place now for a marriage or a relationship. I told him it's okay. He can take some time for himself. We can call off the wedding, but we don't need to break up. Translation, oh shit, I'm 28. I don't want to start all over again. I have to find a new nice guy. No, he broke up with me completely. He wasn't specific as to why, but I think I know the reason. I think it's because of the conversation from 3 days ago. You think? If the situation was reversed and she thought her guy was this clean as white sheets, innocent, sweet type of guy, and found out that he had quite the past with some partners, she would have issues with this, especially if she felt that she's being lied to. And this guy has the right to think, well, if she was leading me all this time and lying to me, what else is she misleading me about? What else is she lying? Do I really want to have that as my wife? Totally understandable. Now, the guy doesn't have the balls to say, it's because you told me this, but she obviously connected the dots. I feel so angry and hurt now. I tried to be honest with him, and this is what I got. What was I meant to do? Lie? I love him so much. I just want him to take me back. I can't believe my life is crumbling down like this. What should I do? What you should do is give him space. That's what you should do. And either he will talk to you and move past this, or he won't. End of story. And again, I will give her a little bit of credit for saying this before they got married. Okay, I'm fair here. But she could have done this a long time ago. certainly within the first month of them dating, letting him know, because she obviously knew at the time he was a religious dude, if he was quite frequently going to church and all that. Okay? So, but she led him to believe she is what he envisioned her as. That's what she led him to believe. And I think she started getting all into church and everything, probably to lasso in a nice guy, a stable, nice guy. Because women can pick out a nice guy a mile away. It's like they can scan the room and say, target acquired, nice guy. And they go after that guy when they're ready to settle. Because these are the guys they won't give the time of day when they're younger, because they want to party and be wild with Chad and Tyrone. So she can either wait, give him space, and see what happens. But he may not give her another chance. And if that's the case, she has to live with it and learn the lesson that don't mislead someone. Be honest. And I don't mean 2 years later after they're in love with you enough to propose to you. You got to be honest from the get-go. Otherwise, this can happen. And this guy isn't a villain for doing this. Okay? He thought she was a virgin. He thought she was a different person. And again, aside from all that, now he's questioning, what else is she misleading me about? What else has she not brought up that I think is important? These type of things. Okay? Now, here's a few comments to show I'm not alone in this viewpoint. One guy says, you decided to be honest with him after years of misrepresentation. It isn't a mistake that he thought you were a virgin. You knew he'd assume it, and you deliberately didn't tell him about it. Telling him about it after getting engaged isn't a golden ticket into having him accept the years of you deliberately not telling about your S-word past. He's allowed to decide that it's a deal breaker for him. You're darn right. Just the same way she told him on the fourth or fifth date about her real past. He would have the right to make a decision about if it works for him, and that'd be it. But she probably knew darn well this type of guy wouldn't go for her, which is why she didn't talk about it. So come on here. Another guy says, I don't think you have any right to be angry. You lied by omission throughout the entire course of your relationship. You should have told him earlier. I know this hurts, but I hope you can learn a lesson from it. Yeah, good luck there. It'll be easier just to blame him and say he's a jerk, or how dare he, or he isn't open-minded, or he's closed-minded with a stick up his butt, or something like that. Another guy says, I love how you disassociate yourself from your past self as if you're a completely different person. Sure, we make mistakes that is forever part of who you are, whether you like it or not. You most likely enjoyed it at the time. SDX is fun for the most part. Why lie about this? Be upfront so next time you don't string along somebody you know expects a virgin. Right. And this last guy, he looks at this from the perspective of the guy. He says, from the other perspective, my girlfriend misled me about her past and strung me along for 2 years. I thought I truly knew this person. Did they not trust me before? How can I ever trust them again? I call off the engagement. I feel so angry, upset, and hurt. Like all my plans for my life suddenly came crashing down and I don't know where to go. What should I do? Right. She's not the only person that's hurting in this situation, but of course, all she's thinking about is herself. What about him? What do you think he's thinking about? What about him thinking, I wasted 2 years of my life? Why did she not tell me before? Why didn't she have the respect to tell me these type of things? Now she's going to tell me the truth when she knows I'm in love with her and I put an engagement ring on her and all that. Let's look at their perspective. But nobody ever seems to do that. They're so focused on themselves. So like I said before, what she needs to do is give this guy space, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and then he'll come to her because I'm sure, I'm almost positive they'll have a conversation, and either he'll give her another chance or he won't. But if he does, the best thing she can do is tell him everything he wants to know. If he wants to know the innermost details of her past, she better tell him. It may be hard to do, because that is the only way that she may get a second chance. Because if he gives her the opportunity to come clean and she sugarcoats anything, gives him elements of the truth, but not the whole truth, that's it. She has got no chance. But there's also the possibility he's done and good. And that's something she has to deal with. And I'd recommend in the future, the next dude she meets, she's upfront and honest and not pulls this stringing along crap and giving it to the last minute. So there you go, guys. Yet another example of someone that misleads someone to believe they're a virgin, and then guess what? Eventually, the truth comes out. Now, she admitted this. Sure, that's fine and dandy, but still, here's another example. So people need to really think about their actions when they're younger, because it will come back to bite them in the butt one day down the road. But nowadays, nobody ever thinks about the future. It's all about the moment and what they're feeling in our instant gratification society where nobody's accountable for their actions. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.